I know our feelings are hurt. Things did not go the way we had expected. Oh gosh, right now we're ready to move. Before we start packing we bags and doing all this sort of stuff, let me share something with you. I cannot tell you exactly where to go, but what I could tell you is the steps you should take before you leave. And that means whether you decide to go to Mexico, Panama, Colombia, Portugal, wherever it is. So in this week's video, I'm going to tell you the mistakes that I made. And I wish I had someone that recorded the video that I'm about to share with you. I wish if someone had shared the information that I'm sharing with you now. It would have made my move so much easier. So let's go. Hi, my name is Paula Simon, a believer who is on her third pivot. I am the creator and presenter of my travel diary, and this is the information I would like to share with you. What we do is that we spend most of our time planning. We do all of this research. We join 4 million Facebook groups. We spend up to 10 hours on YouTube looking at one video to the other. We check in whether the weather is good, have a good healthcare system. What's the cost of food, lodging? Is there expat? Is there things for me to do? All of these necessary things, yes. But I believe we'll be putting the cart before the horse. We spend 95% of the time researching things that we have no control over, and 5% of the thing that we have control of. So in this video, I want us to flip the script. Let us focus. The minute you said, okay, I'm out of here by time August next year, who knows? Some of you might be planning to move by December 31st. Things are so hot. This is what I would like you to do. Focus on what you could change. And that is where you are right now. Let's look at it. We're going to look at 3 areas. Your housing, your finance, work related, what would be your income forward, and then I will be sharing in the last part my experience. So let's start with housing. You might be leasing. If you're leasing, you will look at whether or not your lease is going to end before you decide to exit the place. If your lease is going to end then, if you have a 2 months, say for instance your lease is up in April and you're deciding to move next year August, what you're going to do with those few months? Would you use it traveling? Is there a friend or a family or your parents that you could go and live at until you're ready to move? Or you will able to ask your landlord for a month-to-month arrangement. That is one way. If you own the home, there's a whole different kettle of fish. Are you going to rent the home or are you going to sell the home? If you're going to rent the home, who you're going to rent it with? Rent it to. In fact, would you manage the property while out of the US, or are you going to get a management company? If you're going to do it yourself, do you have someone as a backup while in the US, while you're away? So you would not be getting calls about something happened to the house, the tenant said a pipe leaking or whatever the case might be, and you can't get to someone. You have to have someone in place. If you decide to sell, when you're going to put the house on the market, how long? Because sometimes you might think your house might take 6 months, and within 6 weeks or 6 days, you put the house up and it's sold. If it sells early, where would you go until you're ready to leave? That is very, very important. But one running thread in the housing situation, whether you're renting or you own the home and you're going to rent it and you're going to sell it, is downsizing. And I am telling you this from experience, that is the hardest part of it, because you're dealing with stuff. You don't realize how much stuff you have until you decide to move. And if you haven't moved in recent times, in the last 10 years, you do not realize how much you accumulate. And what I will advise you, the minute the thought crosses your head about, I think I'm going to leave the country, even if it's in the next 2 years, the next 3 years, start looking at your paper right now. That is the hardest part to get rid of, because you got to get a shredder to shred the documents. You got to go through it thoroughly. It's not like clothes. I don't like the shoes anymore, you throw it out. No, paper is a whole different kettle of fish. You have to check it thoroughly to see if it's important information, how you're going to dispose of that paperwork. So I'll advise you to do that. And most importantly, if you are comfortable with email or you use the computer a lot, ask that every piece of paper, including the light bill, the water bill, whatever it is, let it be e-delivery. So that is going to control the amount of paperwork that is coming in. And the record, the beauty about it, the record is there. It's more easy to access than if the paper coming, you got to remember which drawer you put it in or in what box. So that would mean that right now you will stop 95% of the inflow of papers that come into you, and you start working on the set that you have right now. And that is a pain in the butt. A little advice is sort through it, and when you're watching a TV, if there's a commercial break, you use the time to start shredding. You got your shredder right next to your favorite chair, and you start shredding. So you work on the paperwork, your paper, you check your home, see what you have, what you might be able to sell, what you might be able to donate, what you might want to keep based on where you're going. So 95%, at least the first 6 to 8 months of you preparing, 95% is you deal with what you have to do right now. The other 5% of Saturday afternoon, you just put in Portugal, and every piece of information is going to come up on it. You use the afternoon to jot down on Portugal. If you're thinking about the next country, you do the same. But you're not getting yourself caught up with the video and everything. Get yourself overwhelmed, and you cannot take care of what you have to do. You could change your mind about a country, but you cannot change your mind about the stuff. That is there forever. So you start getting stuff done. You start selling. Let's look at the other part, which is your finances. I'll advise you, go through your bank statement, go through your credit card, see if there's any $2 or $3 you're paying somewhere that you don't even realize that you're paying for. That is making sure that every expense there is what you really would like, and you don't want to pay anything extra. If you have a bank account, are you keeping a certain balance in your checking account or in your savings account so that you don't have to pay bank fees? You got to think differently about that. They have so many banks online, including American Express have a savings account, Wise have a savings account, that you could be earning as much as 4.85%. This is what Wise is giving you. American Express, see they drop it down to 4.4%. You don't have to worry about a need to have a $5,000 in or a need to have $1,000 in. You got $500 in, they're giving you the interest on the $500. If you have money anywhere that is not earning interest, you start thinking about ways in which to earn interest. It doesn't necessarily mean putting it in the stock market because it's a short term, but you could put it in a saving account where you will get more interest on it. So you start looking at your money. If you are a person who is allergic to credit cards, because when you get the credit card, you find yourself overspending, this is not for you. But if you know that you're disciplined with cards, start looking for cards that will work in your best interest. I will first start with the airline, because if you go into a certain country, Google which airline from the US flies to that country, and you want a credit card for that airline. Why? As you spend, which you wouldn't need to be spending money on your way to leaving, that money will count towards your flight later on, because you could build miles. And those miles will help to take you to whichever country that you're going to. And when you travel in there, you will have bags. You really and truly need a business class, because there's the only way you could get 140 pounds of free luggage. And those points from that card will help you to pay for that. Who knows, pay completely for that business ticket, and you're able to travel. So you start looking, you're being really careful with your spending, and your goal is, so whatever I'm spending now must help take care of where I'm going. So you start with your finances like that. The next thing is whether you're going to work in that other country, whether your workplace is going to allow you to work overseas, all of that you're going to work on. One thing I want you to realize, if you think that working in America is hard, the office politics and all of that, try doing it in another country which you do not understand the culture. You do not, if there's a language problem, there's extra work, because you know what? There's people in America and there's people in those other countries. And there's people with bad feelings, people with envy, people with hate. Everything is in those other countries. And you're going to face it in the work situation. But you know the difference is that if you're in the US, somebody talking, you understand what they're saying, you understand from the mannerism, from the body, what they're really saying, even if the mouth saying one thing. In another country, you can't figure it out. So that is something you have to think about, whether you will able to work in that other country or not. The last thing I'll tell you about is my experience. I went the way that most of us do. I decided I wanted to leave, and I did all of this research about this country, New Zealand, everything, and then I settled on Portugal. I went ahead and get 2 FBI background checks. I hired a relocation specialist. I opened a bank account, which I was paying €3 every month in fees. I went to Portugal and I changed to another bank account. I even pay a company to hold my NIF. Your NIF is your tax ID number. All of that for Portugal. You know what? I never ended up in Portugal. But you know what? It's quite a few more, be over nearly $2,000 spent or more based upon the airfare and all of that. But I never went to Portugal. But I invest a whole lot of time in doing all the research. Sometimes I get headache because I'm looking at this or looking at that. And I thought I was doing well with downsizing. I did not. Until towards the end, honestly, I was going crazy with the amount of stuff to get rid of. And I did something that I told myself I would never do, is have a storage unit. Although it only lasted less than a year, but I had a storage unit. And I'm telling you this, if you start, to me, storage units is like an addiction. The minute you get in, it's the devil's own job to get out. Because people would be in one country and paying for storage unit in another country. But if I had just spent 5 minutes on Portugal or 5 minutes on New Zealand or whichever country, and spend the next 55 minutes out of every hour and getting things sorted out for me, it would have put me in a far better position mentally, emotionally, physically, and financially. And it hit me a lot financially, but it would have been better. It was, let me say, it was even worse with the stress. That is what I'll tell you, is that your mind might change from where you're going, but your responsibility here is not going to change. So you decide you want to run out. It's now finally reached you that you don't like the place, you gotta go. But I'll advise you, talk 5 minutes with everybody about whether it's the views about Mexico or wherever the case might be, but spend a lot of time on the things that you cannot avoid. And if you do that, even if you decide you're not going to travel anymore or go wherever it is, at least your house would have less stuff. Your finances would be more lean because you're being check-in. And also, if you're a homeowner, check your homeowner's your homeowner's insurance. Take it from me. If it is paid through your mortgage, chances are you overpaying for it. Check to see what is the requirement for your area and see if they have tens of thousands more of coverage, because you're paying for a lot of insurance, but if your house got any problem, you're not getting all that money. So that's the tip for you guys. I hope it's been helpful. If you have any question, leave it in the comment section and take it from me. I wish I had this video before I started looking at all these other countries. So take care. And you know what? Why not be part of the team? If this video or any of the other videos on this channel is of help to you, why not subscribe? Turn on the notification button so YouTube will let you know when a new video is uploaded. Today's a very special day. It's a traveling day. I am heading out to the airport, part of my birthday celebration. Take care. Have a blessed day. Bye.